Whew. We're up late tonight.
It's only like 9:15. What time do you normally go to bed?
I should be wrapping up things at this point.
Yeah. Okay.
And now it's the deep dark English winter. So it's pitch black from what, like 4 p.m. until now.
Did you get sent by YouTube one of these Christmas presents of this big warm dressing gown coat thing?
YouTube was asking after my address, and I parried around that. So no.
So you didn't get one, right?
I think I didn't get one. What did you get from them?
It's like this big thing that's like half. It's like a duvet blanket, but it's also a dressing gown. It's this ridiculous big.
Like a Snuggie?
I don't know.
Like those blankets that have sleeves in them for people to wear?
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but it's not just sleeves coming out of a blanket. It actually is like a dressing gown, but it's a huge quilted thing.
So, are you wearing it right now?
No, it's too warm for me. I'm thinking of auctioning mine to raise money for the koalas in Australia because I'm so upset by seeing all this footage of koalas.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Those fires. Yeah. Brutal.
When I said to my wife, I'm thinking of auctioning mine, she said, "Oh, you should get Gray's as well and auction his." And I said, "I bet you Gray hasn't got one because he wouldn't give." I said, "I bet Gray hasn't got one because he wouldn't give them the address when they asked for it."
You should put some money down on that bet, Brady. You would have.
I should have done a long bet.
I bet you £10 to £100.
Gray hasn't got one.
Gray hasn't got one. Yeah, if Gray doesn't have his gold play button, he for sure does not have a Snuggie from YouTube.
No. So I did put in the notes. I don't know if I should write it like this. I put Megxit, which is what a lot of the newspapers are calling it.
Yeah,
for Harry and Meghan exiting the UK. But I think that puts a lot of the blame on her, and I think it's a bit of an unfair name for it. Some people don't like it.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to ask you about this anyway because I've sort of seen the headlines about it, but I haven't looked into any of the details about it. But the last I saw is like they're officially not royal now. Is that right?
No,
or is
it hasn't
that like
to that?
Okay.
No, it's far from that.
Okay, so what's the deal?
So I guess this is how it's played out.
Okay.
There's been like for a year or so there's been all this like, who's getting along with who? Do Harry and Meghan get on with William and Kate and all this sort of stuff, right? Whatever.
Usual gossip trash.
Gossipy stuff. There was something to it, which has been shown that there was something to it. But anyway, Harry and Meghan, what are they all called? It's like the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Sussex.
Yeah. Meghan Markle. They're the most recent couple. She's the American. Spent Christmas away from the royal family, and that's traditionally a time that the royal family all go away to Sandringham and spend this time together, and they spent it away. And everyone's like, ooh, spending it away from the Queen, what's all that about? Well, and anyway,
okay, well, here's the thing though, like before you tell me any of the details, like when I just heard that they'd like Harry and Meghan are like leaving the royal family and they're going to Canada or whatever, my thought is like, the royal family, it's like, who would, especially if you're coming from Hollywood, but even just for a normal person, I feel like the traditions of that institution must be suffocating as an outsider. Like, so things like not going to Christmas, it's like, yeah, that is a big deal because I'm sure there's a million traditions and the like, oh, we do things this way, not that way. And like, that's what the royal family is. Like, oof, there must be a million of those things.
Yeah, but okay, and we'll come to that later.
Okay.
So anyway, they came back from Canada.
Okay.
And then after a couple of days, put out this statement that had not been like authorized or approved or anything. And it was done very suddenly to the rest of the royal family saying, we would like to step back from our role as senior royals. We'd like to spend more time in North America, and we'd like to become financially independent.
Right.
Turns out they still want to keep like their lovely cottage at Windsor Castle and things like that. But and this was kind of the Queen had asked them not to make a statement or anything, but they went ahead and did it. And now it's kind of all the newspapers have gone into a frenzy. The royal family sort of portrayed it as they'd been blindsided by it, which I don't believe, because just through context I had in the media, I knew that they were planning to go and live in North America more. So I don't know if it was that big a surprise.
I like that you knew.
Yeah, like I don't know how like the Queen can say she didn't know it was coming when Brady and Bristol knew.
Right. He's got all the latest royal goss.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm like the last person that should know, and I was like, oh yeah, turns out that was true. So I don't know, and like now it's all like, I tell you the one thing I'm most frustrated by, because I was reading a lot about it in the paper a couple of days ago. I reckon I read 4 pages of coverage in the paper, and every single quote in the 7 or 8 articles I read was attributed either to a source, an aide, or a palace insider.
Right.
There wasn't a single quote attributed to a named person. Drove me crazy. But anyway, that's just how royal reporting works.
Yeah.
Because most of the time it's probably the royals themselves that are giving the quotes. But
yeah, but maybe not. Like, I don't know. I
or they're made up. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. I understand both why that would happen, because who on the inside is going to be crazy enough to say, "Oh yeah, you can quote me on that." No one. But then it also it totally blows open the possibility of like, and maybe none of these quotes are real.
Yeah.
If you have no humans to stand behind them.
I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. I don't want to fall too hard. I mean, who cares what I think about it as well? But I don't want to fall too hard into the trope of blaming Meghan Markle, which I think is what a lot of people are doing.
Is that what's happening? That seems dumb.
Well, I think a lot of people like the idea of blaming the Hollywood actress, and there's also the whole Wallace Simpson thing going on again, isn't it? So
yeah, no, Americans are the best of luck for the royal family. It seems like whoever's going to be the next royal to marry an American is going to be like, maybe
I do think Harry
and
Meghan Markle are a bit precious, and like they complain about like the media and stuff, and but
I don't know, man. Like, when you can make a pretty reasonable argument, I think that like the media killed your mother. I think you can be a little precious about the media harassing you. Like
yeah. It's more her being outraged by it when it's like, well, you kind of wanted to be a princess.
You know what I was thinking this winter is my wife and we were watching a movie called The Christmas Prince, which is
right. This is you dropping your knowledge and insights into the
this is like the chick flick economy. A Christmas Prince, a movie roundly panned as being terrible, but I think the critics don't understand that it is like a shining exemplar of the genre. The entire subgenre of American woman ends up marrying prince from made up European country movies, of which there are a surprising number. And like the Christmas Prince is like, this is actually pretty great if you're comparing it against like the medium in which it exists. But I was watching this movie and it occurred to me, I was like, I wonder if the royals have watched this movie, right? Like this would be a funny movie to watch if you actually were a prince and you married a girl who was from outside that world. Like, but also what popped into my mind is a fundamental part of this genre is, what this stuffy royal family needs? It needs like the quirky girl who doesn't follow the traditions and who wants to like modernize and do things their own way. And so like, not only do you get to marry into the royal family, but also you get to make everything run exactly the way you want it to run. And that's the part of it where it's like, well, this fantasy has gone too far, right? Like any royal family, like, I just don't think this is like a thing. And if you're marrying into a royal family, I think you have to expect, this is like a suffocating tradition filled environment. And I don't know, maybe their plan was to leave, ahead of time, of like, this was the long-term game plan of, we're going to get married, but maybe we just wait a little while before we make a discreet exit from the royal family.
I think maybe she thought she was going to be like the quirky reforming princess, and it didn't quite work out that way.
Right. She's watched The Christmas Prince one too many times. And
I I don't think it was the plan from the start.
Hmm.
But it does raise lots of questions about money and things like that. Like, who pays for all their security and protection if they're living their own life and earning big bucks? And it raises a lot of questions about who pays for what if they're making money based on the fact they're royals,
Hmm.
but they're not royals.
Right.
Like, I don't know. I don't know how it's all going to work. And it's a huge PR problem for them, for the royal family.
Yeah, it's part of the reason why I was vaguely interested to hear some of the details of this, and is like, I don't remember where I first came across this idea, but I've been hearing repeatedly, like, whispers on the wind, this idea that like the royal family wants to modernize by trimming the tree.
The slimmed down royal family.
Yeah, this idea that like Prince Charles will take the throne and he'll be the guy who says, "Oh, I'm redefining the royal family as starting with my son." And like that will be what's the old one like? That'll be like he'll be like the new Sophia of Hanover. Like we're counting from here and trimming the tree of like the million billion relatives that exist. And when I first heard this thing about Harry and Meghan stepping down, I thought, oh, look at this. This is like phase 0 of this plan, right? Like have the closest heirs voluntarily step back. Foolish me was thinking, oh, this is the beginning of the clever unfolding of what they want to have happen. And it's like, oh no, this looks like it was some total disaster that was not expected at all.
No. They're really important to the royal family because of the connection with America, and she was like, new and different to all the other royals, and Harry's always been one of the most popular royals. Like they were real important to the royal family, and for them of all people to turn their back on this family and say, and we don't feel that well treated.
Yeah,
and we want to go and leave and do our own thing. Looks really bad for them.
Yeah, again, like I don't know what
they need more Harrys and Meghans and less Prince Charleses.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I don't know what their statements are, but that's why, like, I figured they had to have them voluntarily step down precisely because they're popular, right?
Yeah.
And that you couldn't have later on them just be defined out of the actual lineage. So,
yeah,
this is always like a bit of a weird thing for me to talk about as well, because like there's this like people on the internet who are convinced like I'm some sort of weird like pro-monarchy person. It's always so bizarre, and like the actual reality of it is like the royal family is just like this weird unique case in the UK, and it's so interesting that this institution exists and operates alongside the government, and as we've discussed in like some of the Brexit stuff, has proven that they're just like, we're not going to interfere in any of the politics stuff. Like it makes it a strange thing. And when I first heard that plan of like, oh, we're going to try to trim down the royal family, I thought like that's probably a pretty good idea. Like if I was the matriarch of the royal family, I think I might be thinking along those lines of, let's not have a million branches extending in a whole bunch of different directions of people who we're like responsible for but can't control.
You do need a certain number just to do all the work, though. And I think Harry's close enough to the trunk of the tree that he would be late in those who were slimmed away.
You mean like the hospital openings and that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, all the ribbon cutting. Yeah. The patronage.
I wonder how much people are even aware of that kind of stuff. Like
they are aware, it's important for the royal family to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. That's a lot of their power comes from being seen and being at things.
Mm-hmm.
So you do have to have a certain number of proxies to go and shake hands and cut ribbons and make speeches, because otherwise they just become totally irrelevant if they're never seen out and about. And so you need like 6 or 7 good people, don't you? To do that.
Okay. I didn't think of it that way. So you're saying just from a like
bodies.
Yeah, just bodies among the ruling class of we need to attend a certain number of events per year just to be relevant in the minds of
and until recently you had the Queen and Prince Philip,
right?
Charles and Camilla, William and Kate, Harry and Meghan, and you had Princess Anne does more than anyone.
Right.
Andrew, until recent times,
Right.
He's now gone, obviously,
Right.
for all intents and purposes, and and to a lesser extent, I guess. What's his name? Edward.
Yeah.
But so you need that. You need a certain number to do that. You then have all your hangers on who are a bit further out, who they're keen to get rid of. But
I don't know. What do you think of the plan of the two of them leaving? I mean, like, aside from the specifics of being complainy, like, just the broad outline of two members of the royal family are deciding, we don't really want to be a part of this. Like, on the most abstract level, what do you think of that?
I think they've gone off prematurely. I think they should have waited longer and made a more considered decision. I think they've been hot-headed. I don't know, though. What do I know? I'm a guy sitting at a desk.
Yeah, well, I'm
talking into a microphone, but like,
yeah, but I was just trying to weigh in my head what they got married 2 years ago. Is that about right?
I'm not super sympathetic, and actually, when you look at how it played out publicly, for about 12 hours, I would say there was a lot of public sympathy for them, and then it turned.
Why is it turned though?
Well,
now give me the goss. Like, what have they said that it made it turn?
I think they're being. It depends who you ask, but I think to some extent they're being seen to have done over the Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And also, they got their big fancy wedding, fairy tale wedding. They got their £2.5 million upgrade of their house on the public purse, which they now want to keep.
Mm-hmm.
And then, and then when they get some bad headlines and bad press, which is just what happens when you're in the public eye, they're like, oh, we shouldn't have to put up with this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like this in America. In America, everyone thinks we're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're moving to Canada, but whatever. And so, like, and
wow,
I think they've just had a bit of a dummy spit. Yeah, and I think they didn't. William and Kate get treated better, get more, and that a lot of that is to do with the fact William will become king and Harry won't.
Right.
Like, one of the things they were upset about was these pictures that have been put out lately, which are like considered these iconic royal pictures of the Queen, Prince Charles, William, and William's son George, because it's this great thing to have these amazing photos of the next 4 monarchs in one picture. And there's all this like, oh, why were we left out of these photos? Like, because none of you are going to sit on the throne. That's why.
This isn't about you.
But it's not entirely knowing what goes on behind the scenes. But
I don't know, Brady. You've got all these anonymous sources chipping in. Like, surely you know exactly what's going on behind the scenes.
Well, there, yeah. Ask me to tell you more stuff when we stop recording.
Is that for like goodbye internet? Is that what that is?
That's goodbye Brady's career.
Right. Oh, okay. Right. Goodbye Brady's career. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brady actually has a direct line to the palace, and he just can't talk about it.
Yeah. I've got contacts on the inside.
Yeah, you and the Queen are chatting every day.
Yeah.
What are you up to?
Yeah. So
I don't know. I don't know. I thought,
who knows? It's all gossip, and what does it really matter? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't like. Maybe if I knew some of the details, my feelings would be changed. But I don't know. My just from the headlines, my feeling is like, hey, if two people don't want anything to do with a royal family and they're not in the direct lineage, or even if they were, it's like, people got to live their own lives. And if they want to move to America and disassociate from this, like, you only get one life.
Yeah, but as long as they don't have their cake and eat it too, as long as they don't say, oh no, I don't want all this hassle, but I still want all the privileges and perks that go with it. Like, yeah, I feel like they're having a bit of their cake and eating it too here, and I think that's what's getting people upset.
Yeah, but I also, like, I haven't looked into it, but yeah, I would agree that I would be against anything that could fall under the category of having one's cake and eating it too. But the royal finances and the relationship between the crown and the government are anything but clear at times, and so I don't know. I would be willing to bet that news sources would not be above riling up people's feelings of resentment in unclear situations, right?
No.
Like,
Yeah, of course.
that's
Yeah.
you want to rile the people up about like, oh, we paid for the. It's like, yeah, they were royal members at the time of the wedding. Like, you're not responsible to your past self about what you've done. Like, yeah, if taxpayers were directly paying money into their house in Canada, yeah, that would be out of line. But I don't imagine there's going to be a situation like
What
that.
What about their security in Canada? That's one of the big things.
I think security is such a tough question. Like, security is where I'm willing to play the practical game. Like, I forget, I can't remember who it was, but I think it was like in the early 90s, the law for the United States with presidents and vice presidents was something like, oh, you get Secret Service protection for forever. And it also extended to the immediate family. And then it was changed for Secret Service protection for only 10 years after you leave office. But then in the 2000s, it was changed back to be like, no, actually it's going to be forever. It's still for presidents and vice presidents and immediate family forever. And I think like the reason you do that is just because of the, in the scope of a government's budget, what percentage are we talking about as an insurance policy against just looking bad on the world stage that you can't protect your own? And I think there's some value in that. And so while it does kind of push the edge because the royal family does have this strained relationship with the UK government, and then if they're leaving the royal family, I think I wouldn't get too upset if the UK was still paying for some level of security protection for them, because it's the same thing of like, if they were harmed in some way, it just looks bad for the UK and the royal family. And the cost of the security is not enough of a cost in that calculation compared to the income of the crown estate, to even just have like 3 guys working a 24-hour shift. So I would be okay with security. I wouldn't be okay with things like houses or just allowances if they were coming from the UK government. But, this again is where like the crown estate is a different matter. And if the queen decides that she wants to spend the crown estate money, like that's where it gets murkier.
Yeah.
And
most of it's coming actually from the Prince Charles's Duchy of Cornwall estate. But
right. Yeah. So now we're like another whole level below. Like, this is also one of the things of like in the UK, I always find the Republicans, in the sense of like, we want the UK to be a republic. The starting position of like, well, we'll just strip the royal family of all of their possessions. It's like, okay, it's a bold first move for if you want to change over the UK government of like, we will give the government the power to just seize property of individuals. And yeah, so then like, if the royal family is paying for their expenses, I just think in most people's minds, it's not clear to them that like, the royals have income which is separate from the government and is related to their interests as landowners. And it's not like your tax money directly going to the royals who are then paying for stuff. So I don't know. I'd be willing to pay for security out of UK tax money. Would you?
Well, it depends. Probably yes. I was going to say it depends for me on what their role is and what they do. If they're off, doing cosmetic ads and starring in TV shows and making a lot of money on the back of their fame, a lot of that fame comes from his royalty, then part of me thinks, well, hang on, should they pay for it? Like, the US government doesn't pay for Brad Pitt's security. It would look bad for the US if Brad Pitt got shot, but it's not the government's job to protect him. But on the other hand, Harry was just born into his fame. Like he didn't choose it. So I see both sides.
That's a good point. I think if they are if they're having like Beckham's lifestyle of like, oh, we have this empire, then yes, at a certain point, it's like, well, you have the security concerns that any hugely famous and wealthy person does. And at that
maybe
point,
it'll be means tested.
Yes. Yeah, there you go. Means tested bodyguards, right? You know, we supply 3 for the first up to £1 million of income, and then you know, we start deducting guards after that. Yeah, that's perfect. Means tested bodyguards.
Oh well, I will keep you up to date with any further developments.
Yeah, I'm genuinely curious to know what's going to happen with Megxit. In the same way, I'm curious to find out someday what happens with Brexit. That's what we should have. I thought
there was a chance this was being followed closely in your house, actually, Megxit. You know, because you're Americans living in Britain, and you know, not necessarily as much by you, but I thought by osmosis you might be following some of it. You know?
Look, when you said in the house, like, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not something like, oh, what a clever illusion Brady is making there.
I didn't want to name names.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how I first found out about it. But the details have not been followed. But
okay.
But yeah, this is what we should have betted on this in the betting section. We should have betted on Brexit and Megxit about like. In 10 years, is the UK still part of the European Union, and in 10 years is Megxit still part of the royal family?
Did we get Brexit right? I must go back and listen sometime.
Did we make predictions about Brexit? I don't even remember.
I think we have a couple of times, so we've probably made different predictions.
Yeah, no, but this is exactly the thing I was talking about. Did we make like bets, or were we just talking? Right, like I'm sure we've just talked and said things all over the map of like what will or what won't happen. I don't think we've made anything as sharp as like a prediction or like as really sharp as a bet. I don't remember if we did though, but some Goodbye Internet listener will have just recently gone through the whole back catalog and will know if we actually did that or not. So
excellent. I look forward to finding out.
Okay, it's bedtime, Brady. It's way bedtime.
Yep. Oh yeah, I need to go get some more sparkling water. I've got a nice cold bottle waiting for me downstairs too. Right. Can't wait.
You girth it out, man.
Okay.